Sounds good.
Welcome and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Jane Irrigation Training Series. I'm your host, Richard Restuccia, and today we're going to be talking about the Sustainability Summit of 2023 presented by GardenComm. And so my intent for this was a couple reasons. One, I think GardenComm is a great organization, and I wanted to really expose all of our readers and followers to GardenComm and what a great organization that is and all the good things they're doing. Number two, they are having the Sustainability Summit next month at the end of the month. And it's a free virtual event. And when I look at the speakers that are going to be there and what they're talking about, I got really excited about this summit as well. And so today I've invited Chris Sabbarese. He is the executive director of GardenComm on to talk about GardenComm and the Sustainability Summit and GardenComm as well. Now, for those of you who have seen Chris before on my webinars, you know him well. Chris and I started something called Landscape Chat on Twitter about 13 years ago now, Chris. We started that. We had a lot of success with that over the years and have done a lot of things together. The thing I really appreciate about Chris and my association with Chris is that he is a forward thinker. He tends to have ideas before a lot of other people, and his ideas are good. And so when he said we're having a sustainability summit, I wanted to be a part of it. And more importantly, I wanted all of you to hear about it as well. So Chris, thank you. Welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Well, hey, thank you for having me. I think this is just a great forum and a platform for people to learn and get education and training. So, thanks for doing this, Richard.
Yeah, you bet. As we were talking earlier, almost 3 years to the day that we've been doing this for most of the time, twice a week. So it's been really fun for me to have guests like you that have really been enriching our knowledge and our education on all things irrigation and sustainability and conservation. It's been really fun. So anyway, Chris, I wanted to start out with this for all the viewers who don't really know what GardenComm is. What is GardenComm?
GardenComm is a nonprofit organization. It's made up of about 600 members, and they are all communicators and educators in the horticulture industry. And what that really means is they go out into the industry, they speak to industry leaders, and whether that's brands or individuals, really understand what's going on in the green industry and communicate that out to their audiences. Now, those audiences may be the individual consumers, the end users, or it could be other platforms like things like garden center owners and those types of things. So they're collecting all of this information and they're bringing that to the individuals. And that could be whether they're speakers, authors, podcasters, bloggers. We have photographers. I mean, it really is the hub of communications within the green industry.
Yeah, that's so interesting and good too, because, if I think about it, and I think somebody asked me the other day, what is the one publication? What is that one magazine, that website where everybody goes to get their information, kind of the Sports Illustrated of the garden world. And I think many of us think, well, there isn't one just yet, but I certainly know that you're building GardenComm to be that one.
Yeah, definitely. And so I will say that I actually just took over as executive director a year ago. That was effective March 1st. And I had been a member of GardenComm since 2010. And participating within the organization, I just realized that my position as a member, I was actually touching all the different areas within the green industry. So whether that was tree care, landscaping, gardening, agriculture, I mean, all the fields that roll up into what makes the green industry. And I kind of noticed that, people who were in landscaping were really focused on that. People who were in tree care were really focused on that. And it's like, there was no place that I could find that really had, there was one place that had all this information and was really kind of communicating about this. So I think that as I started to look at GardenComm is to figure out, we could be that resource for people. And whether that's, an individual user or somebody who's in the, the corporate sector, they all are looking for this information. And I feel like this is one place that they can go to that can bring all of this together under one roof.
Yeah, I know I've been a member now for a little while, and what I've seen is really great. And I really enjoyed all the information, the opportunities to network has been incredible. What's happened, in the last 12 months for me has been a really positive result of my association with GardenCom. But if I'm just a gardener, and I say just the gardener, right? And that's tongue in cheek, right? That is a big job, or it's a big interest. Would I be a member of GardenCom?
Well, I think you would really benefit from hearing from our members. And here's the thing that our members do. There's a ton of information out there. So you go Google something, or look at your chat GPT, try to figure out what it is that you want to do. And there really isn't an authority, so to speak. I mean, it's like you can get all kinds of information, and whether or not it's trusted or this is sound information. This is one thing that I found at GardenCom, is that these are people who are studied horticulturists. They know their business back and forth, backwards and forwards. They are professionals at what they do. So the content that they're creating is based on sound principles, and that's something that I think is really rare in our world of information today.
Yeah, I think you're so right, because there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of bad information out there, and you still really need to check the authority of the person who is providing it and the organization who's providing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will come in contact with content on a daily basis that I think, is this really sound advice? And some of the scary things are that you will see these TikTok posts of people who are like, hey, I got a garden hack and this stuff is going to save you so much time. But when you kind of really read the article, I don't think it's going to really help you. It's not really factual. It's not good information. And even though 1 million+ people have seen this thing, now there's a bunch of miscommunication out there. And that's really where GardenCom can step in and help be that resource that people look to.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, right? There's a bunch of simple solutions to complex problems that don't work.
There you go.
but you can find them in a lot of places. So, okay. So I want to remind everybody too that's watching today that we have the Q&A open and the chat open. So if you've got some questions of Chris or myself, put them on there. We'll answer when appropriate. And we've been giving some Jane hats and t-shirts to those people who ask good questions. So here's your chance. So anyway, Chris, tell us a little bit about this sustainability summit now that's taking place April 25th through the 27th.
Yeah, great. Well, I can tell you how it all sort of came about. It was a conversation that happened at GardenCom, which is another great thing of GardenCom, is that conversations happen and great things come out of those conversations. And this particular conversation was with an organization that I learned had a solution for, I don't know if you can see this, but before it disappears, they are completely compostable planter containers. So when you're in a garden center and you're buying a plant, you buy this container, you literally can plant this container in the ground, or you can put it in your compost bin and it will decompose within a season. Now, I don't know if anybody is really familiar with this whole thing, but the containers, the plastic that these plants come in, is not compostable. It'll take about 1,200 years for these things to degrade and decompose, and those all go to the landfills. They literally have no way to reuse those, recycle those. So this, to me, was just brilliant. And if you think about how many plants are sold in garden centers, there's tons of them, and there's tons of plastic. So I really appreciated that they took the time and the initiative to come up with this. So as I started thinking about this, I realized that there's a lot of other businesses, there's a lot of other people in our industry who are doing sustainable things. And this is just one piece of it. So that's really what brought this whole sustainability summit together, was to say, let's talk. I want to go out to all the people that I work with, that I know in this industry, and just put something together that brings a bunch of information about sustainability together.
Yeah, that's what I really like about it too, Chris, is that you guys aren't just ringing a bell to say we have a problem. you're actually bringing solutions, and solutions like that compostable pot that you just showed, which I've used in my own yard, and they work great. And I also have literally hundreds of the other pots around that I take to the nurseries and try to return, and maybe they'll use them again. But it is a problem, and this is a real solution to this. And so that's one thing I love about it. So who are some of the partners? Who have you gotten together with for the summit?
Well, I will tell you that it's like, first off, when I reached out to these folks, it was a no-brainer. They were on board with, presenting on this sustainability summit. So organizations like Arbor Day Foundation, Proven Winners, who has the the compostable pots, Subaru, I don't know if how many people know this, but they actually have a zero waste facility. Their headquarters, based in New Jersey, is a zero waste facility. And I think that's just phenomenal that businesses can do that. So we're going to have the person on who really spearheaded that whole project and will help you understand, what sort of things they had to go through and how they maintain that. We also have the Carbon Almanac. This is a new organization. Have you ever heard of the Carbon Almanac, Richard?
I have. Seth Godin, right, is behind this. And I mean, he's a hero of marketing to all of us in marketing, really a genius. And I love that he's taking his genius for marketing and applying it to sustainability. But tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this organization, I just came across this a couple of months ago. They reached out to me asking a question. And as I started to look into this, I thought, tell me more about this. So it's actually a collective of 300 volunteers. I think it spans 41 countries, and they pulled together information about carbon and its uses, and how much certain applications will give off, how much carbon. And what they've done is they've gone through, they've understood where the research is, they've documented that in a book, and the book is, I think, about 350 pages, but there's just a wealth of information. I mean, it's just a ton of great information, and it is primarily consumer based, but they will continue to add more resources to this. So they will actually be supporting GardenComm, and we will be working together to help bring that information from their perspective to the industry, but to the consumer as well. So, I mean, that's just such an exciting partnership that we're going to have there.
You know what I love about them too, Chris, is it really brings focus to what you're doing. And because there's so much we can do today for sustainability and conservation, right? There are more things to do than we have time to do them. So the the Carbon Almanac helps us understand where we get the biggest advance for our efforts. And
Yeah,
that's what I really appreciate, because using the golf analogy, we're hitting about 140 in golf, and we can break 100 without working too hard, and we can do that. It's not like we're shooting in the 80s trying to break into the 70s, but this helps direct you to what you should be doing.
yeah, definitely. And the thing that I love about it is that all of the information in there is backed up by research. So not only can you find certain statistics about carbon usage and all that, in the back of the book, it will tell you this is where they got the information. So they point directly to their source of information. So that's what makes it really credible. And again, bringing that back to GardenComm is that we want to make sure that we're putting the best information out there. So boy, I'll tell you what, this is a fantastic resource. I was really glad to stumble across this one. And then of course we have Jane Irrigation, which as soon as I started compiling this and putting this together, I thought, I have to have Jane on, because you are all about agricultural irrigation, and you always have such great information and just a great perspective on what we need to be doing from an irrigation side of things. GardenComm, we have our own sustainability committee of members. There's approximately 12 different members, and they span different disciplines across our organization. So we're going to have several of them on to really talk about sustainability, what they do, and what that does for GardenComm, as well as Hunter and National Association of Landscape Professionals is going to be talking about sustainability in the landscape. And then one I don't have on here is it's going to be a panel discussion from a organization that collects consumer research, and is really going to be talking about how they feel about products, sustainable products in the garden marketplace.
Yeah, what a fantastic group. I know we're really honored to be on this, associated with this group. And I think that, touching on this, I think this is what people are going to want to know in the future, right? Who does GardenComm like? Who do they partner with? Who are they involved with? And from that standpoint, they wouldn't partner with bad products or bad people. So I love being on this list, and thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And realistically, when we started having these conversations, it's like there really isn't one place that has this type of information. And so as we continue to build this out, I envision that this is going to be something that we'll do on an annual basis. And, hey, there's every bit of potential that this could become an annual in-person event where you really could just have like all the best minds in one place talking about sustainability. Of course, there are other places that, talk about, carbon usage and all that, but this is really a green industry perspective. And if you have all those minds in one place, boy, I tell you what, some good things can happen.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Well, real synergy.
So speaking of great minds that will be participating on this event, of course, Richard, I am thrilled that you're going to be on there. Danny Mishek, who is the inventor, he actually invented this particular pot, and that was who we first started having conversations with. Denise Coogan at Subaru USA. Ben Walensky, he's the director of partnerships at Arbor Day Foundation. Warren Gorwitz, he is the director of corporate social responsibility. Tanya Marin, I messed up her name. Marion, sorry. She is the person that I just connected with at the Carbon Almanac, and she's gonna come on and talk about the organization, what they do, and the resources that they have available. And then Lisa Stryker, who is the VP of Marketing and Communications with NAOP, talking about sustainable landscapes. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to have a couple of those panel discussions, both from GardenComm and then the supporting sustainability in the garden marketplace. And that's going to be a really interesting discussion with, I think they're planning to have 4 or 5 people attending that panel. So there's going to be some good discussion, and I'm sure people will have good questions as well.
Yeah, wow, Chris, this is an all-star group. This is really great. And I love that you are spanning so many different subjects. Right. And
that's just it. When you look at that list, it's like, we're not in silos. We're not talking about this. This is information that everybody can use, because what affects gardening affects the trees, affects the landscaping, affects agriculture. It is all intertwined. And that's really what we're hoping to do, is unite all of these different segments within the green industry.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I know from our standpoint, talking about agricultural irrigation, we're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, there's a lot more that we can be doing in agriculture. I'm going to talk about some of those activities that we can take that are going to make the biggest savings in the shortest period of time, and with the hopes of really putting some more focus on what's happening in ag irrigation and how we can make it better. And more importantly, really point out some of the people that are doing it really well as a model for the rest to imitate.
Yeah, and I would say this summit is really for everyone, because honestly, those things that affect gardening, affect landscaping, affect tree care, those affect every single one of us. Doesn't matter if you're a consumer, if you're into, a industry professional, we all will benefit from having this information. So I highly encourage, whether you're professionals or if you're just an individual who wants to know about more about sustainability, is that this summit will help. Even if you do a small little bit, it's all going to help. And I think that's what is really going to come through on this summit. It's like, it doesn't have to be difficult. This helps explain it, but it makes it very accessible for everyone to participate. So I really hope that everybody who's watching today or watching a replay will sign up for this conference and just learn from these fantastic individuals who will be presenting.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we have a question coming in about the
Mhm.
supporting sustainability in the garden marketplace panel discussion. Uh,
Okay.
what what is the garden marketplace? What is this whole presentation about?
So this presentation is still coming together, but they are looking at consumer research and just sort of their how they uh, think about sustainability in the garden marketplace, and then have companies that are, that sell product within the garden marketplace to really just connect and understand this is what consumers are looking for, so that they're producing those kind of sustainable products for the garden marketplace.
I see. Okay, so the garden marketplace in general, very nice. And then that'll be very interesting to hear about our role as communicators in the green industry as it pertains to sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to go back to that panel, so they are very tapped into the consumer. And when you understand what the consumer's concerned about and what they think about, this helps. Having that conversation helps those people, like I said, both from the brand side who are developing products for the marketplace, and understand here's what the consumer is looking for. That's where I think that's going to be a really interactive discussion.
Yeah. So, Chris, if we want some more information about the Sustainability Summit, we want to get into some more of the details. Where do we go for this?
Easiest thing to do is just scan that QR code with your phone, and that'll take you right to the registration page. You can also connect with GardenComm on all of our social channels. Just look for GardenComm. We're on primarily on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can find us on Twitter, but you're better off on the other three to connect with us there. And then if you want to connect with me directly, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just C Sabbarese, and you will find me there.
That is awesome. And this is a free event.
It is absolutely free. It's going from April 25th through the 27th. The time is 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. So that should, accommodate a lot of folks' schedules. And if you aren't available to attend live, just sign up for it and you will get access to all of the sessions afterwards.
So that's what somebody wanted to know, right? Do we and how long do we get access to those the presentations for a week, for a year, for the rest of that day?
No, that is a great question. And honestly, I know that this is going to be such a fantastic summit that we will have links to all of this on our sustainability page within GardenCom. So we will make this available at any time. There's not going to be a limit on how long you can watch it.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And then the advantage of watching it live, though, is you can ask some questions.
Yeah, and when you think about it, you look at that list of presenters. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure that you'll have some questions for these folks because they are professionals at what they do, and now that is just such a fantastic opportunity. So try to be there live if you can.
Yeah, you bet. Well, Chris, anything else we should know about the event?
I not nothing that comes to mind, but certainly just check on the website because we will be adding sessions and more details about the individual sessions, because right now we just have who is speaking and we are gathering those topics as we speak. They're rolling in. So just check back on the page if you want to learn more about what the individual topics are going to be, as well as just what the overall agenda is and which ones on which dates. So website is your best place to go to for updated information.
Yeah. Well, excellent, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on today and taking us through this. A little more than a month out is going to be the Sustainability Summit 2023. I can't wait. I'm going to be there watching all the presenters because, like you said, it's an all-star group. So really appreciate you putting this together and coming on and sharing the information with us.
It is, and thank you so much for letting me come on and share this information. So we will see you there, Richard.
Yeah, you bet. And thank you to all the viewers that watched today. We really appreciate that. And remember, we've got 3 years of content now at the janesusa.com/trainings page. All of our webinars are free as well. And you can also get them wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. we extract out the audio, create podcasts out of it. And I love the idea that people are working and learning at the time that they're working, always improving. That helps me get up in the morning every day thinking about that. So anyway, we are going to be back next week at the Future of Agriculture in California conference. It'll be a change of a day. It's going to be on a Thursday now instead of Wednesday, just this one special time to be a part of that conference. So anyway, hopefully we'll see you guys there. I'll be there and sitting on a panel as well, talking about water for agriculture in California. So Chris, thanks again. Thanks to all of you, and we'll see y'all soon.
All right. Thanks, Richard.
All right. Thank you. Bye now.